Hi, everyone. Welcome to our personal finance workshop today. We are super excited to share some personal finance tips for you all, especially that you can use during your college journey. My name is Vicky, and I am one of the presenters, and I will give the chance to let the other presenters introduce themselves, starting off with Jonathan.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jonathan Lopez. Thank you very much for coming. So again, Jonathan Lopez, I'm a college success fellow.
Hi, everyone. My name is Paulina Barajas, and I am also a college success fellow.
Hi, everyone. My name is David Flores, and I'm also a college success fellow.
Hello, everyone. As I mentioned before, my name is Vicky, and I am also one of the college success fellows. So what is 10,000 Degrees? 10,000 Degrees is a scholarship organization that helps underrepresented students go to their navigating their college journey and also supporting them as well. Next slide, please. And as a scholarship organization, our community keeps growing as the years keeps coming. For example, we started off as just being in the Sonoma County and Marin. Luckily, throughout the years, we had expanded now to Lake County, Napa, Contra Costa, San Francisco, San Mateo, and Santa Clara, in hopes that we get to continue to grow in the future.
So what is our motto? Our motto is that we support you all through and beyond college. One of the things we want to help you all is college pathways awareness and preparation. We want you all to have the same and equal opportunities as anyone else has outside of college. One of the things you also want to support everyone here is college and financial aid advising and navigation. Moving towards that, we also want to help you with college success support that can be towards advising for your classes, financial aid, or even scholarship help. We also want to help anyone that's going to community college to transfer over to any 4-year out of state or UC schools. We also want to help and prepare you all after the when you graduate college and prepare yourselves for the career opportunity. So we hope everyone here gets a little comprehension and support through college with personal finance. Our goal for everyone is for you all to know how to open a bank account, how to build up credit, and things to expect living off and off campus, and things to help you budget. We also want to inform every college student that the basics to understand the foundations of how to finance and budget as a college student. So what is personal finance? Before anything, I want to state that we are no experts. We're not professionals in this matter. We are speaking based on research that we have made, and we are also speaking about our personal experiences when we were in college. But what is personal finance? Personal finance is the accumulation and budgeting in finances and in overall just saving money towards your academic goals or utilities or anything that you desire to save in the future. And with that, I will pass it on to Jonathan.
Thank you very much, David. All right, so I'm going to be talking about how to open a bank account. So the question here is, what's a bank account? A bank account is a place for you to deposit and withdraw funds, make payments, transfer money to another person or institution. You could also pay your bills electronically, and of course, you can do a lot more than that. A bank account will enable you to spend without cash on hand. And now, with this being said, I have a question for you all. And if you can please raise your hand or give me thumbs up, thumbs down. Have you already opened a bank account? You can raise hands, you can do thumbs up, thumbs down. Yes, okay, you can also use the chat as well. Okay. Okay, I see. All right, so the majority of us has already opened a bank account. So now let me introduce you to a checking account. What is the checking account? So a checking account is a type bank account that allows you to easily deposit your money and also withdraw money and do also daily transactions. So you basically can easily deposit your wages, salaries, or other funds into your checking account and use that money to pay your bills. So you might be wondering what type of bills and how does these bills will relate to me as a freshman or college student, right? So when it comes to paying bills, we're talking about paying for your groceries, paying for your rent, paying for your books, and of course, you can also withdraw cash as needed. So a checking account will allow you to store your money in a safe place. With this being said, if we can move to the next slide, please. So in this slide, we have savings account. So the difference between savings and checkings account is basically that a savings account is more for you to keep your money long term. So savings accounts are not intended to be used for everyday spending. And the number of withdrawals or transfers you make from a savings account are limited. And I believe most of the bank's accounts will like limit it to six transfers per month. So you might be wondering what type of transfer or what is a transfer. So in this case, I'm going to be giving you some personal examples. Or actually, let me put you in one of my students' example. He was having an issue with getting his scholarship. And he was like, hey, how do I get my scholarship? Would I be able to like deposit that on my checkings account? And I was like, yes, but if your scholarship is too much money, let's say you're getting $1,000 check, you don't want $1,000 just sitting on your checkings account, because what if your card get lost or stolen? Someone could be using that money. So that's how you make a transaction. Out of that $1,000 scholarship, you can put $800 into your savings account, and that's one transfer. So now you only have 5. That's only one thing, right? Now let's say how do you use a transfer from savings to checkings? So that's a little bit, it's kind of the same thing, but in this scenario, we'll be using rent. So you're a college student living on campus and you want to pay for rent, but you don't have enough money on your checkings account, but you do have a lot of money on your savings account. So what you do a transfer from your savings to your checkings, and that's another transfer. And so, of course, you can transfer your scholarship from checkings to savings, transfer money because your balance is too low, or you can do your balance is too low on your checkings account. And this type of account also is good. It's a good place for you to keep your emergency fund or savings, or for like a major financial goal, save your money. And of course, this savings account will also allow you to accrue like interest or monthly interest. And with that being said, I think, okay, we're good. Yes, thank you. So I'm going to go over with some of the requirements. You'll definitely need an ID. So it could be a passport, driver's license, state ID, or military ID. You will also need a social security number or an ITIN. You need a proof of your current address, such as utility bill, mortgage of your statement, if you're like, that's on your name. And of course, you definitely need money in your initial deposit. So some banks will require you to have at least $100 to $200 for your first transaction. And of course, you will definitely need proof of income. So where can you open a bank account? We have a list of banks here, but I want to emphasize that do your own research. So don't go just, hey, I heard from 10,000 degrees that Chase is a really good bank where I can open a bank account. No, do your own research, because so we have Wells Fargo, we have Bank of America, we have US Bank, we have Chase, credit unions, and I'm actually doing some research about the Apple savings account, because I've heard that they are giving 4% back to your account. But again, I'm doing my own research in that. So if you're interested in opening an account in one of these banks, please do your own research. And I'm not really sure if you noticed, but we are missing one bank account here. Do we have any guesses on the chat? I see we have some questions on the chat, and I think Vicky and David are going over it. Yes, Vicky and David, yes. Okay. All right. So again, we're missing one bank account that's really important here. Any guesses? Any guesses on the chat? What bank account are we missing? So we went over credit, I mean, we went over the savings and check-ins. So yes, we are missing credit card. And I'm gonna pass it on to Paulina for that. She's gonna be explaining what credit is and how to use it and how to not use your credit. All right.
Thank you so much, Jonathan. So yeah, today I'm going to be talking to you about what credit is and why it is important. So essentially, credit makes it possible for you to purchase things when you need them. With credit, it's possible for you to pay over time while accessing the essential products and services you need when you need them. So this can include things like groceries, gas, personal care items, if you want to go out to a restaurant with your friends. Do we have any more? Can you drop them in the chat if you have any ideas of what you can use your credit card for when you're in college? And while that's happening, so essentially this is a physical or electronic card that gives you a specific monetary amount for a line of credit that you eventually do have to pay back. So credit is a tool. It could be used for good, but it can also be very problematic if you do not know how to use it effectively. Yeah, purchase protection, that's a great one. So accessing credit is important for another reason in today's society. So something known as consumer credit reporting. So when you borrow money, creditors often report your behavior to the three major credit reporting agencies, which is Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. So they take data on your financial behavior, such as whether or not you're paying it back or you're paying it late or you're not paying it at all. So this data is gathered to create credit reports and evaluate to generate your credit score. And these reports and scores are used by lenders. So when they assess how risky it is to lend you essentially money. And credit is needed for you to rent. So, and if you do not have credit, you will need a co-signer with a good credit score if you do want to live off campus eventually, which for students typically tends to end up being a family member. Next slide, please. So how do you open an account? The very first thing you want to do is check your credit reports and scores. So if you already have a credit score, so looking at that, and those reports can help you know where you stand to find a card that is right for you. And then second, choosing the right type of credit card. So we want to think about what are you going to use this credit card for most in college, and keeping that in mind because different cards have different fees and different interest rates. So there are credit cards that are made specifically for college students, meaning that they have more benefits like cash back, which is like where you get a percentage of the money of the amount you spend. That differs from the type of credit card, but there are cards centered around like groceries, gas, if you're big on going out. And thirdly, the requirements that you need to apply, you need to be at least 18 years of age, your full legal name, social security number or ITIN number, and a report of your annual income. But if you do apply to credit cards, for example, specifically centered for college students, they will usually also use your financial aid award letter instead of your annual income, like a pay stub or something like that, because they know that most students are either working or they're in school for a time, or depending on your situation, but they are a little bit more lenient with the annual income requirement. Fourth, submitting your credit card application. So you want to apply online, in person, over the phone, or by mail. But I will recommend that you apply online or in person just because it is a little bit more safer for your information. And last and most importantly, we want to emphasize, create a repayment strategy. So determine how your credit card payments will fit into your budget. And we will be talking about that a little bit later on. There are also applications like pre-approval, which allow you to see if you can have been approved for a credit card without impacting your credit score heavily, because your credit score does get impacted when you keep applying for credit cards. And Vicky will touch more about how credit card payments look like when they're incorporated in your budget, but for now, I will pass it on to David, who will speak about what it's like living on and off campus and what that looks like.
Thank you, Paulina. Before we start, I want to know by a raise of hands or by a thumbs up or saying something in the chat, who is going to be living on campus this semester or this upcoming semester? We have quite a few. Well, first of all, congratulations. So one thing to expect when you do live on campus is that you're going to have to pay things on time. So at this point, you are an adult and you are expected to be an adult. So sometimes to secure your deposit, you're going to have to secure that at a timely manner, which is on time. So if that deposit is about 1,500 or even more, you're going to have to pay that on time. And if you aren't able to pay that money at the moment, then you can do something called a payment plan. The payment plan is when you pay everything in intervals. So instead of paying, for example, 5,000 in once, you can pay that off in 5 months or 6 months, and it won't accumulate interest. So overall, if that fits your budget, I know personally it did help me a lot when I was securing my dorm, where I had to pay it off every month. So it's something you can think about over time, and something you can think about with what you want to do with your parents or by yourself. Second, choose your dorm based on your budget. I know sometimes it's very easy to either live with your friends in a very fancy dorm with the suites, with a personal bathroom, personal kitchen, but sometimes our budget won't allow us to live there. Sometimes our budget is going to have us living in a lower end dorm or even a medium sized dorm, which has nothing to affect you as a person. It's something that's going to help you live comfortably in the dorms, and it's going to help you overall with your wallet, with your budget, and overall your financial statements in the long term. So if you're going to live on campus, please think about in a very wisely manner of where you want to live. I know sometimes me personally, I didn't want to live in a lower end dorm or a higher end dorm. So I picked the medium option, and it fit really good with my budget. So if that fits best for you, please plan it out. So over time you can pay it off, or so over time you can live in a very comfortable manner. Third, you're going to have to pick a payment food plan. What a food plan is when you live on campus, you're expected to eat on campus. So that means cafeteria food. And overall, there's two different options mostly. The two different options are, first, you're going to have to choose either a 12-month food plan or a 9-month food plan. So a 9-month food plan is when you don't live in the school in the summer, and 12-month is when you plan to live there the whole year. This depends on whether if it's your budget. This is something that I recommend you talk with your parents, your guardians, or someone that's going to be managing your budget, or something that you feel that if you want to do a 12-month food plan or a 9-month food plan, that's totally up to you. And lastly, please be responsible. With everything you have to do on the dorms, you are an adult, like I said. So please be responsible enough to pay everything on time. So act as an adult and budget your money accordingly. Okay, living off campus. Can I get a raise of hands again or something in the chat to see who are going to be living off campus? Ooh, quite a few. Again, congratulations. So with this, you are expected to do much more than just live in the dorms. You're an adult. You're going to have to pay for utilities. And one of those utilities you're going to have to pay for is either Wi-Fi, it's going to have to be gas, electricity, garbage, anything in that matter, you're going to be expected to pay those on time. So please be responsible, budget this out with either your roommates or either someone that's going to be helping you pay for rent, or if it's yourself, then plan accordingly, which moves on to my second advice is you will become independent, but use the time you're independent wisely. What I mean by this is that, yes, you are an adult. Yes, you're living off campus. And yes, your parents aren't going to be there. But that doesn't mean that you're no longer an adult. You're expected to be everything. You're expected to pay everything on time, or expected to use this time wisely. So if by the beginning of the month you have a lot of bills to pay, use that time to budget amount of money to pay for either your rent, your groceries, pay for utilities, pay for your phone, pay for your car insurance. Overall, just plan accordingly so you can pay for those things on time. And lastly, please learn how to buy groceries and how to cook. I know it can be really easy to go to McDonald's, or it can be really easy to go to DoorDash, or it can be really easy just to eat out in general. But as a word of advice, I would say learn how to buy groceries, because long term, when you do eat out, it's going to affect your wallet and it's going to affect your budget. Sometimes we spend more money than we think we do when we buy out. So if you are the one of those people that don't have enough money throughout the month to pay for groceries and to pay for rent or to eat out, I would recommend you plan accordingly. So when you do buy groceries and you do learn how to cook, it's going to be long-term healthier for you. It's going to be long-term a lot better for your health. Due to experience, I didn't know how to cook. I didn't know how to buy groceries. So I did the one thing I knew what to do was call my mom. So I called my mom. I asked her how to make some rice. I asked her how to make some chicken. I asked her how to make some carne. And long term, I still make those ingredients to this day. So there's no embarrassment with not knowing how to cook. There's no embarrassment not knowing how to buy groceries. We are going to show some apps that's going to help you with that. But overall, just I recommend learn a little bit about cooking. And lastly, have fun. I know this is a time of your life where you are independent. You are going to be an adult, and you are going to be going off to college, which is a really exciting time. Just learn to have fun by not using the amount of money by going out, or by using it on necessities or luxuries, which goes on to my next slide. So what is a luxury and what is a necessity? Okay, so I'm going to share a scenario with you all, and I hope you can all collaborate and answer this accordingly. So the scenario is you have rent due at the end of the month, but your favorite artist is having a concert the same month. What is a necessity and what is a luxury? Can you share it in the chat, or can you share it in general? And I'll wait. Rent. Yes, rent is very important. Whoever's thinking that the concert is the necessity, you are lying. What the necessity here is rent. Yes, sometimes you're going to have to pay for things and sacrifice some things that you aren't able to attend. Well, that moves on to my second advice. You will have to make sacrifices. Sometimes we won't be able to go out with our friends. Sometimes we won't be able to go out to eat with other people, or sometimes we're not able to buy something that we absolutely really want. Sometimes we're going to have to make sacrifices, and that's totally fine. As long as you have your necessities paid off and you're budgeting accordingly to your future, then it's okay to make sacrifices. It's okay to be content with where you're at. And that goes on to my second advice: be content and avoid comparisons. I know sometimes we feel like we want something, but sometimes wanting that something is going to hurt us in the long term. Wanting to go out with our friends, or being jealous that our friends have more things than us, or being jealous that our friends make more money than us. That's something that you should avoid, because overall that's going to hurt you, and it's going to hurt your budget, and it's going to hurt your wallet. Doing all that causes you to lose money. It causes you to not be able to pay things on time, and it causes you to struggle. And one thing we don't want you all to do is to struggle. So please plan accordingly. Budget your money to guarantee that you pay your necessities, pay it with rent, pay it for your groceries. And if you plan accordingly, then you might be able to go to that concert. You might be able to go out with friends. And with that, I'll pass it on to Vicky to speak a little bit more on how to budget.
Thank you, David. So I will be going over to what it is budgeting. So budgeting is a process that allows you to determine in advance whether you have enough money to do the things you need to do or would like to do. Also, it is a process of helping you creating on how you're spending your money, especially like figuring out what money you need the most and what money you need to cut off in case if you're wasting more money on something that is not really needed. Like, for example, like what David mentioned, like your necessities versus your luxury needs. For example, I want to follow up with David's scenario. You want to attend a concert and it is a few months away, but you have bills to pay. How can you budget your money to pay your bills and luxury needs? For example, your earning is $1,750 a month. Rent is due on the 1st of each month. It is $650. Groceries is $200. Wi-Fi is $20 and electricity is $45. Gas for car is $100. Credit payment is $50. Car insurance is $100, and the concert ticket is $75 plus taxes. Next slide, please. For example, I have created this budgeting form that you can all easily create on your own that we will be able to give you more apps and resources for it. For example, your monthly income is $1,750. I split it in half, which I put it into expense type and expense cost. On the expense type, I put the necessities that need to be paid on time, which is rent, Wi-Fi, electricity, car gas, credit payment, groceries, car insurance. And on the next side, I put the expense size. So in total of your monthly income of $1,750, in total, you will be needing $1,165. You are left with $585. So what can we do with $585? Yes, it looks like you can afford the concert ticket. However, if we can go to the next slide, we can easily save those $585. For example, I put savings first. So yes, we want to save money, and you can determine how much you want to save your money, which I put $250. And then I put a category, put entertainment and eating out, which is $100. In total needed of those $585, you will need $350. Now you are left with $235. So yes, you can afford the concert ticket. However, you will need to start thinking about like if you can afford eating out when you're going to the concert. How about if you're going to be Ubering over there? or if you need to put more gas because depending on the location of where the where the concert is located. For example, we don't want to really touch our savings account, nor do we want to touch the $235. This is a highly encouragement tip because you never know if you actually need that money in case of an emergency. So we highly recommend you all to use something like a template to use to budget your money and see if you can actually afford your concert ticket to go to. Like David said, you will have to do some sacrifices now that you're adulting and you have to pay your necessities first. Thank you. Next slide. So these are the resources for budgeting that I have used, which you can create on your own, which is Google Docs, Excel sheets, notebooks, iPads, and many more. There's also that website that we are going to share with you all at the end of the presentation, and more apps also as well. The budget and resources. So yes, as one of our workers have mentioned in the chat, that there are still free resources available, especially if it comes for grocery shopping. There are free from some students and some may not be free. For example, food pantry. Food pantry is available to anybody that's on your campuses, and it's free for everyone. All you have to do is do the research of your campus of when they're available, when they're passing that out. Also, there's Call Fresh, which is also state-funded food assistance for some other locations. These is only for documented students. However, you can still reach out to that department of your school so that they can also refer you to other outside resources that they might have on that school area that you're attending. And there's also scholarships. Scholarships are free for everyone to apply. Apply as many as you can and as you want. There is no limit. Scholarships can also help you pay for school fees. You can also use it to buy your textbooks, or you can also use that money to help you save your rent money.
Hello, everyone. So we're super excited to have two panelists here with us today. Throughout this panel, just feel free to ask any questions in the chat, but this is essentially going to be like a Q&A based off Walter and Sanjeev's personal experiences. So to hand it off to them, I want them to introduce themselves a little bit. But we have Walter Gonzalez, a 10KD alum, and Sanjeev Ralph, a current 10KD student right now.
Hi, my name is Walter. I am a 10,000 Degrees alumni. I went to San Rafael High School, and I went to College of Marin and transferred to the University of California in San Diego and majored in political science. And currently I'm an analyst at a city manager's office in San Rafael. Nice meeting everyone.
Hello, my name's Sanjeev Rao. I went to community college and I graduated from College of Marin in 2021. And now I'm enrolled at Chico State and I'm majoring in healthcare administration. And currently I'm working for a big hospital that does outpatient, and I'm currently a HR assistant.
Thank you both so much for sharing. So now we're going to open up the Q&A portion where me and Vicky will be asking Walter and Sanjeev questions. Next slide, please. So our first question is, realistically, what were your most significant purchases when in college?
Yeah, so I was a transfer student, so my experience is going to be a little bit more relevant if you're going to be living off campus. But I would say definitely moving out, as you previously mentioned, moving out can be expensive. I moved out pretty far away from home in a sense. So the whole idea of like a security deposit was a big thing. I also decided to buy furniture over there because I didn't want to take a lot of my stuff. So that was actually a really big purchase as well. And you know, just getting situated is a very big expense. You kind of can see it if you buy things little by little, it like eventually does help out, but definitely just getting situated, getting to another city, if that is what you're going to be doing, was a big expense on my end. Of course, apart from tuition.
For me, it was paying for tuition out of pocket. So that affected my budget in a lot of ways because then I couldn't do things that I enjoyed such as like eating out as often, or being able to hang out with friends, or even go to concerts, or buy other things that like fulfilled me. So I had to make a lot of sacrifices.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sanjeev and Walter, for answering that. So I hear that a lot of you all had to do some sacrifices. In order for you all to pay for your budgeting and all your necessities, did you all had a job when going to college? And if so, how was that? How did it impacted your budgeting? Also, not only that, your college schedule.
So yes, at community college, I did have a job. I worked as a peer mentor at College of Marin. And the program was called MAPS. So it helped students transition from high school to college. And it allowed students to connect to resources on campus that they wouldn't have known on their own. It was a bit stressful managing a job and like managing your classes. So making sure that your grades are still good and that you're taking care of all of the stuff that you do already as a college student, the responsibility. So I learned a lot of like time management skills and like how to make things a priority. And also I learned a lot of leadership skills and like how to work with people from all different types of backgrounds, and it helped shape who I am today. So I encourage you to get out there, and if you do want to work or you have the opportunity, just to go for it.
Yeah, and same here. So again, I was a transfer student. So when I was at College of Marin, I thought that I had a little bit more flexibility around my schedule. So I did have a full-time job. I work as an administrative assistant to a car dealership for about a year. I felt that it was easier just because College of Marin did offer me more flexibility with night classes. So I was able to work and still keep up my grades because of the flexibility with time. When I transferred over to UC San Diego, I actually struggled a little bit to get a job. If you are working, you leave the Bay Area, you'll see that there is a little bit harder to get jobs outside of here. There's so much like jobs opportunities here. But I worked at a restaurant for most of my time that I was over there, and it was great because not only were they flexible that I only usually worked Friday nights and Saturdays and Sundays, but I was also given like I was fed, so that helped out a lot with like the whole idea of budgeting. And often when you work at restaurants, like the restaurant that I worked at, we had like really good employee discounts that everything cost us $1, so I would like stack up on food and feed myself for the week with like work. Schedule wise, I think it is definitely like it is not easy to schedule work and school at the same time. I am a huge planner, so I really planned out I knew when I was going to work, and I had like a calendar, and I really like put on my calendar exactly what I was going to focus on those days, knowing that I was going to have to work eventually. So that helped me out a lot. I definitely recommend, if you do have a job or have all other extracurricular activities, having a calendar is super important. And I feel like now that I'm working, I really like see the use of it now. So huge recommendation on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Walter and Sanjeev. It sounds like there is maybe benefits and something to look out for when you're working at a job. So you might get a few different time management skills that you might get from that, but you'll also have to plan accordingly. But there may be like discounts or things that you can use that may help in your overall budget. So something to look out for. The next question that we have for you is, how were the expenses different from living on college versus off college?
Yeah, unfortunately, I did not live on campus, but I guess it was a little bit different, me living with my parents and not living with my parents, because, as I think was mentioned in the presentation, when you're like with your parents, or if you are living on campus, you pay your university tuition, comes out of your financial aid or whatever you use to pay for it. So it's easier, you don't have to take care of bills. When you live on your own, you are more responsible for yourself in the sense that you have to pay for bills and setting money aside for like your rent, which is like a monthly thing. So again, it does take a little bit more planning in that end. I decided to live off campus because it was more affordable for me. And my tuition, my financial aid package didn't cover much. I know that that can be different for others, but one thing that I do, when I think back, regret a little bit is possibly I should have lived on campus maybe 1 year. It's definitely easier to socialize and like meet other people when you're on campus because you're living with other students and like everything is there. But yeah, I would say off campus is just a little bit more responsibility because you really are taking care of yourself and you're responsible for your own things. So make sure you pay bills, buy your food, and just a lot more structure is needed when you're living off campus, I would say.
So I have not had the experience of living on campus, but I've previously lived off campus. So things you should know when you're gonna rent an apartment is that you have to sign a lease and then you have to make sure that you have enough money so that you're able to afford that apartment, or even if your parents are helping you. So most apartments are checking if you're making 3 times the rent. If you're not, or if you don't meet that criteria, you will need a cosigner. So just to be aware for your information. And even if you decide to live on campus for a year and then move out, that's good information. In some cases, they will do a credit check as well. And then some of the expenses that comes with living off campus that you guys should consider are electricity, utilities, cable. The previous apartment that I lived at before, they used to charge for parking and then some other fees as well. So just be responsible and be aware of all of the expenses that comes with living off campus.
Awesome. Thank you, Sanjeev and Walter. Now that you all mentioned the type of things that you have to pay, based on how were you able to budget your money, or in other words, what kind of resources did you use in order to budget for your money?
I use this app on my phone. It's called Good Budget. And then I also created my own Excel sheet, so it helps me know what expenses I have and how much I'm spending where and where I could cut back.
I would say I did not do such a great job at this. So now that I'm an adult and like definitely doing this now, but what I definitely did though, I was very lucky to be able to get a good amount of financial aid money for my off-campus housing. So I definitely set that aside in a different bank account so I can never touch it. And it was specifically for my rent. My other expenses, I have been kind of taking care of myself in that type of sense for some time. So I think I had a general idea of how much I could spend. But I think a big thing, I think that was brought up earlier for sure, like look for free resources. I would also say cooking is a big thing. I definitely cooked so much when I was a college student because it is more affordable and also time. It actually saves you time at sometimes. I mean, I made lazy meals. So I would also say, yeah, looking for free resources is really helpful. Someone, as I think it was previously mentioned, some schools have like food banks, and there's so much things out there. I mean, I remember in my school, there was a financial planning coach that you could actually go to if you needed support on going through that. So definitely look for resources. Maybe there's not resources there as much to like free stuff, but there's definitely people at the colleges, universities that like work on helping you figure this out because you're not on your own. But yeah, thank you.
Thank you both so much. So our next question is, how did or has credit come into play in your educational experience?
So yeah, I think the first big thing that I had with credit was the moving out was definitely a big thing. As Sanjeev mentioned, you do need they usually require credit to move in. You need to have like references. So that was a big thing. Thankfully I had set up myself already. So I did have credit already when I moved out. So I was able to sign myself. But I know, for example, like my sister is currently going to school. She goes to UC Santa Cruz and she needed to get a new, wasn't able to get on campus housing more. So she had to get off-campus housing, and she didn't have any credit, so I had to co-sign for her. So I think if you are going to consider looking for housing off campus, definitely have that conversation with your parents or guardians or someone that you know that has credit that will be able to help you out. I also say credit paid had a big impact on how I was able to carry my expenses. I was getting checks for my scholarships periodically, so it wasn't like I was getting this monthly. So I would occasionally like use a credit card if I had like some necessities to purchase things, and I knew that I would eventually be able to pay it back once my financial aid kicked in. And I guess just again, I think it was mentioned in the presentation about be really wary of credit. Spend what you can. I would advise if you don't have a job, a stable job, as most of you probably will not throughout college, minimum credit card usage is advised because it can really get tempted to just swipe, swipe, swipe. You're like, I'll pay it off eventually, and it adds up. Yeah, thank you.
I used credit to buy essential things such as like grocery or gas or other like small bills. And then I made sure that like I wasn't using the full amount. So let's say if I had like $500, I would only use 100. And then every month I would pay that off. So that way my credit score isn't being affected negatively, because after when you graduate, your credit is important if you want to buy a house or you want to buy a car. And then, so I always consider those things. Once I'm finished with school, I want to be able to do that. So just be aware of credit.
Thank you, Sanjeev and Walter. This will be our last question for right now. The last question is, if you were to go back to your freshman self, what is one piece of a financial advice you will give?
I think look into programs or grants that are offered through your school. Or most schools have like a lot of resources, such as housing, food, things of that nature. So just be aware of scholarships, grants, things of that nature. Apply to as many scholarships as you can. That would be my one big tip. And I wish I did that more, so it would have made it more easier.
I guess on my end, save money where you can. I was, often you're able to like work during the summer, work a lot more hours. And I was able to like work full time when I was at College of Marin. And I made the mistake of not saving. You like often get caught in the idea of like, just spend money's there and eventually come back. But when you are transferring or when you're going to be a college student next year, and if you are having a summer job, it will make it so much easier if you don't have to worry about money. When you are at school, because at the end of the day, you're there to learn and your grades do matter. So making sure that you can create safety nets for yourself is really important. And as Sanji mentioned, it could be like applying for more scholarships. That was really helpful to me, that I had scholarship money that I could use freely on my expenses that were outside of the school. So yeah, save and just create safety nets with your as much as possible and stay within your means. I think there's like this pressure, of like often of spending and like doing all these things that everyone else is doing, but often it's not necessary, and you can always do them later when you are graduated and you have more financial freedom. That would be it for me. Thank you.
So thank you both, Walter and Sanjeev, for sharing your personal experiences as well as giving tips for our students. Next slide, please. We will now be wrapping up, and I will be sharing some tools and apps that you can use. So if you have your phone out and you're on Zoom on your phone, please screenshot, or if you are on Zoom on your laptop or anything like that, please take your phone out right now and take a picture of this slide. So here are some apps and tools that I want to share with you. We have Mint, which is free. They show your income, expenses, savings, goals, credit score, investments, your net worth. This is available on iOS and Android. Second, we have Rocket Money. This is free for the basic features, but they do have a sliding scale of $3 to $2 depending on the donation you want to give. This shows your income, expenses, saving goals. credit score, investments, your net worth. And if you pay for their sliding scale, they'll cancel subscriptions for you and even negotiate lowering your bills. So if you're not someone who really likes to get on the phone and negotiate your bill, they can do it for you. And this is on iOS and Android as well. Third, we have Good Notes. This is free for 3 notes only, but for $8.99, you can upgrade to their community version. This offers a community space where people can upload budget sheets, planners, or different templates. So if you're more of an online kind of person, this is a great tool. Also for students, they do have like note templates as well. So this is pretty versatile for your college experiences. And this is available on iOS and Android. To the right, we have Finance TikTok. And before I go over this, I just want to point out, always research the validity to these content creators' videos, but we do have some shout outs if you want to take a look at them. Humphrey Talks, her first 100K, Milan Singh, Priceless Day, John E. Finance, John Finance Tips, and Erica Kohlberg. So feel free to take a picture of this. And next slide, please. And so, as David mentioned earlier, here are some apps and tools for cooking. So the first one we have on the left is Tasty. It's free. It shows different meal ideas, how-to videos. If you're a visual learner like me, can help look for food specific to any dietary restrictions. And this is available on iOS and Android as well. Second, we have Yumly. This is free, but there is a yearly subscription available. So this uses AI. So it uses personalized recommended meals for you, depending on what you typically like to eat. Ingredient search, digital cookbook, smart shopping list, and more. So this is available on iOS and Android as well. Third, we have Mealime. This is free. Its standout features are that it's an app that helps you customize your meals so that it works for your unique taste and lifestyle. It's available on iOS and Android as well. And I did actually want to point out the first one, Tasty does have a new AI feature. I actually recently downloaded it because I want to cook more and save money, but it does have an AI bot that you can ask questions for, like, oh, I don't really know what I want to eat. Like, this is what I typically like to eat. And they will also give you recommendations, but it's free versus Yumly, where you kind of have to pay for the subscription. And all the way to the right, we have Food TikTok. At this time, I also really want to ask if you have any food TikTok or like content creators, please put them in the chat because I'm going to take notes. But we have College Chef Ron, Tasty, Cooking It Up with Jess, Beyond Food Market, Dollar Tree Dinners, and Nana Joe 19. Yes, Heidi, Nana Joe 19, she's great. These are all the TikTokers that are kind of based around food and typically for like college students or easy how-to videos, but also feel free to drop in the chat. And lastly, we have a special shout out to Struggle Meals, the TV show. I used to watch this actually when I was in college. It's available on Hulu and Snapchat stories, but typically the way the videos work is they show you how to make the most with the least amount of money, and also like kind of teach you like hacks, like when you go to a store and you grab those packets, like they teach you how to make like different things with those different types of packets. So a special shout out to that show. I definitely recommend. And lastly, I will be passing it off to Jonathan, who will be closing us out and talking about the next workshop. So while you still have your phones out, please keep them out.
Thank you for everyone, freshman students, all the SaintKD staff for showing up today. Thank you very much for coming, and we would